Hello, I'm Susan Nash, and I'm really happy to be here today to talk to you a little bit about credit for prior learning, but also the importance of advising. And advising is really the linchpin of credit for prior learning because that's where the the students become aware of where there's credit for prior learning, and they also become aware of the different ways to earn it. But then they also rely on the advisor, you, if you're an advisor, or advising team, to see just how it can benefit them and also what they need to do to bring those documents to the advisor and to the team to enter them into the portal, whatever portal you're using, and also to see just how they can use credit for prior learning to accelerate and speed up their progress toward a degree. Also to even have an idea of what perhaps they'd like to focus on, and also just to see, okay, how does the experience that I have gained as a student and also the potential credit-bearing exams or certifications or experience, how do those inform how I connect with my experience in the past, the academic frameworks, and career possibilities of the future? So right now I'm going to advance the slide and see how that, okay, whoops. So what I'd like to do is talk about equipping advisors for ideal student support and do a little review of best practices. So this event in this webinar that took place on July 10th, but you're watching it obviously not on July 10th, so this lives on. But I'd like to say that this slide represents an example of an experience that could be converted into a credit-bearing experience for prior learning. So here we are in the Melbourne School of Petroleum and Geological Engineering, and we were looking at the winners of the Department of Energy contest to develop solutions for geothermal energy. And in this particular case, this team spent a semester in an internship type of experience with a funded program with the Department of Energy to see how they could convert old oil and gas wells in the Osage Tribe Reservation in northeastern Oklahoma to greenhouses, geothermal energy for greenhouses to solve the problem of food desert. And so the problem that existed was there was the potential for greenhouses, but the cost to heat them in the winter was just too high. Yet there were also a lot of orphan wells and abandoned wells that were oil and gas wells that needed to be plugged because they were leaking methane, which is a greenhouse gas, and can, ironically, to be used to, but a different kind of purpose. Greenhouse effect is different than the greenhouses, but at any rate, so in Pawhuska, Oklahoma, there are a lot of at-risk people. They are far away from say, the largest metropolitan area, which would be Tulsa, or potentially Bartlesville. And there are a lot of elderly, there are a lot of low-income people that are members of Osage Indian Nation. And so what that means is that it's very difficult for them to get fresh fruits and vegetables because they can't drive all the way to Tulsa, and it's just not available. But with a greenhouse, being able to grow things like tomatoes and peppers and bell peppers and even pineapples. And lots of berries, strawberries and blueberries. It's very possible. And interestingly enough, you may not be aware, but when you buy blueberries that are from Mexico, the 99.9% of those blueberries are grown in greenhouses. So greenhouses are extremely important to our fresh fruit and vegetable food chain. At any rate, the thing that's so interesting about being able to connect something that is a learned experience that could potentially connect to a credit, for example, internship could be, and this experience of working on the greenhouse and converting oil and gas wells to geothermal wells and then helping develop the plan for the greenhouses, that it could certainly fit within perhaps electives. So electives that would have to do with application of the concepts in that particular degree program. And as an advisor, when you see something like that, you think, okay, well, this really ties in to an adult learner's needs because it kind of checks a lot of boxes. First of all, if you think about adult learners and how you're going to keep them engaged and stay in your program and graduate, it's not just about giving them credit. You have to make them feel like there's a reason that they're investing their time. So there's a reason for each activity, and also if it's problem-oriented, they're going to stay engaged because, after all, that's what life is. Once you graduate from high school, it's a series of problems. but it's problem-oriented. In other words, tackling something that has a potential outcome. It needs to connect to personal and professional goals, and also adults need to learn the why behind why they're learning. So as an advisor, and you're thinking about using credit for prior learning, then you're going to really need to understand the adult learner. And again, some of the things you need to understand are things like their expectations, that learning goals need to be clearly stated. They're grounded in real life experience, so there's task-oriented real life scenarios, make adult learners feel very motivated and connected. And then finally, if you want an adult learner to really go in and persist in your program, then if they have freedom of choice, they can turn to credit for prior learning, they can turn to all this, then you have a much higher possibility of keeping them. And then also, let's keep in mind, if you are an advisor and you're working with your students and you want to pull them in with credit for prior learning, keep in mind that they face a lot of challenges. They have to balance work, family, and school. There's an issue of accessibility of classes, so sometimes credit for prior learning is a huge, huge benefit because they can do credit by exam, for example, or they can take courses online and from other providers that may not be available in the time frame that they need it. For example, if it's only available through your university or college face-to-face. Well, if they can transfer it in, they can take it online someplace, that's really fabulous. Sometimes, and also another challenge, and this is a challenge for everyone, is cost. Sometimes there's confidence because they're returning after a long hiatus, so they're like worried. And then they actually do not tend to persist if they can't see the map. They need to have the roadmap. You, as an advisor, have an opportunity to create a roadmap to a better life. And if you can make that as concrete and as possible, it's just really wonderful. Because what happens is there are going to be some initial logistical hurdles. That always happens. And there are going to be some times where each student is going to be faced with a, a feeling that, hey, this is just too much, maybe it wasn't for me, or you throw in the towel. But don't do that. I mean, like, help them see this is just one of those logistical hurdles that you can expect to face. And let's do it. Let's just get through it. So there are many ways that you can provide advisor support, and it always has to be student focused. And like, if you can work with a student to develop an educational plan, this is really fantastic. So first of all, ask the student, do you have any advanced placement test results? Have you taken any credit by exam? Do you have military experience? Do you have prior work experience that ties to your desired degree that could be potentially used in a portfolio? And that also, do you have any certifications? So, for example, maybe a person wants to get a physiology degree, and they have a massage therapy certification that could tie in to some of the courses. So, some of the other things that are really important for adult learners that you as an advisor can do that have maybe not anything to do with transcripting or evaluating the different types of credit for prior learning are just things that they'll need in general. For example, time management, tutors, career development programs, smart tutoring. Let them know about financial aid options. And then you can develop timelines to make sure that they're flexible, but not so flexible that they will time out and lose credits because they've failed to turn in certain documents at certain times. And then also, if you are communicating with students, make sure that you have many ways to help them as an advisor say, okay, it's time to check in. And if with their permission, if you can send them a text message, sometimes that's the way to go rather than email, which can be overwhelming or go straight to spam. and also there might be some sort of portal that they like to log in frequently. Also, part of this ties to goal setting. So deadlines, and then goals need to be smart goals. So they need to be defined and measurable, and have a time frame, and relate to connect to the actual meta goal. And then there needs to be a little reward too. That reward could be, hey, good job. Or that reward could be something like, here's a coupon here to this or that. So if you develop a framework for students and internal stakeholders, then sometimes it's really easier for them to see where they're going. So the framework can be a prior learning assessment. So you can put together a framework, and that framework can be as simple as a website that they go to that has an interactive form. And they just check the boxes. Have they taken any standardized exams, CLAP, etc.? Yes? Okay. What were they? When? Are there any challenge exams that you'd like to sign up for that the faculty have developed? Would you like to do a portfolio? Check the box, boom. And then that should take to a menu that has, okay, here's what your portfolio has in it. And then finally, any other things that you might have. I mean, do you have licensing? Check the box. Military training? Check the box. What is it? When? Where? And then also, in all of those cases, it's important to have documentation. So if they check the box, say, please upload your documentation here, or email your documentation to me. And here's my email. Okay, so what happens when you've got a student who's stuck in the process? One way to keep from being stuck is have timelines, and then at the end of each timeline, or 2 days before the end of the timeline, boom, automatic text message. Have check-ins. Think about intrinsic strategies. What are those intrinsic motivators? Any extrinsic motivators, like do this and you get a coupon for a snack item at your local happy local, on cue convenience store, Quick Trip, 7-Eleven, whatever. You can work something out with local providers. You can have some things, especially if, for example, this is just an example, Chipotle has a management training program, and they have arranged for different credits to get credits for some of that training. Well, it could be that maybe they'd like to do a coupon for 10% off if you do this or that. And then also, like, say, okay, think about Chipotle and the management training. Join the Chipotle team or whatever. But you can think of all of these symbiotic relationships that lead to really positive things. So, okay, so as an advisor, think about evaluation strategies, think about the types of presentations that you will make and when and where. If at all possible, have some group meetings. And also, again, as we were talking about the Chipotle example, tie everything that you're talking about to potential employment career opportunities in the future. So, in your advisor toolkit, what would you have? You have the philosophy of your college, principles, the mission and vision, policies, timelines, guidelines, and then, as we talked before, and I won't go over this much because we've already talked about it, but you'll have methods and procedures for credit for prior learning. So exams and your checklist that you'll have, and that could be ideally that you have them go to the framework, which is that questionnaire that allows them to check boxes and then start the process. And then again, the toolkit can be an information packet. And in this one, talk about you and your connection and how you're their trusted guide. And then also put a link to degree programs and encourage that kind of self-efficacy, self-determination. Oh, I'm going to look at what I definitely like to do, what I've done in the past, and how those connect to the degrees that you and your organization offer me, and also how they can tie into my career objectives. And then have a website with links, obviously, to your framework, to the information, etc. And then it wouldn't hurt to have a monthly newsletter. And then finally, in the advisor toolkit, have detailed program information, programs, required courses, etc. And then finally, thank you. And here I am writing GeoRex. Thank you.